Hello friends, Adam here with FED. So let's talk tier list for Fire in the Three Houses. I've already made quite a few of these, but people have been requesting an updated list with the DLC characters. So you may notice some of my opinions have changed over time, and that is just kind of what happens, you know, as I've played the game more, and also heard other opinions that I've agreed with and some that I disagree with, and all sorts of different stuff. But we're going to do that today. So rules for the tier list: number one, this will be considering maddening mode, the hardest difficulty in the main game. We will not be considering a house that you choose, so I'm essentially just going to say a character's overall usefulness on maddening difficulty. I understand that leaves a lot of variations for certain characters, especially ones that are more difficult to recruit than others, such as Kaspar or Ferdinand, that require weapon ranks that are less than ideal. And they can't, and especially like Kaspar, who can't reach a B rank support with Byleth before the time skip, so that makes them a little less useful on routes that they're not a part of. You know what I mean? But we're not gonna we're gonna try to look past that and really take a look at a character's spell list, the combat arts they have, and what really makes them useful. Okay. And where to go? So we'll go house by house, and then we'll go to the Knights of Syros, and then we'll finish off with the DLC characters at the end. So to start off, we have Adelgard, S tier. She is amazing, one of the best units in the game, especially on maddening. As far as like ease of use on maddening mode, and I should say another thing I should clarify: we're not going to be looking for like the lowest turn count possible. Honestly, this is more of like an ease of use tier list. Like, how good are they? Like, how easy is it going to make your playthrough overall if you use these characters in a I don't want to say a smart way, but yeah, that's what I mean, like a smart way, in a way that makes sense for that character. So Adelgard has a bunch of different ways you can go with her. You could just say, I'll stay with her her unique class line, go into Emperor. And that's great. It gets the job done, and she'll be a force to be reckoned with. She'll actually have defense to tank hits. She will obviously deal back a ton of damage and just destroy people. Adelgard is just good. It's hard to beat a character who gets extra experience, 20% extra experience at all times, and also just has really good classes that they can auto go into. Or if you want to, which I would recommend, you can have her go into like Wyvern Lord or something to really make use of her axe, Amir, that allows her to take extra turns. So when you use the combat art. The thing with that though, with Adelgard and Amir, is that you can't use it like super often, There's not really an opportunity to get the correct forging materials to fix it. So I think, I'm trying to think, at most I feel like you can fix it maybe once. But I think that's stretching it. I don't think you can even do that. So really, you only have like 4 or 5 charges of her special combat art, Raging Storm. But that just makes her really good. Amir's really good, and then also she's just a strong unit overall. All right, Bernadetta. She could move later on. But for now, we're going to throw her into, thinking B or B+. That's the lowest we go is C, because I don't think anyone is like bad in this game. I think we'll go, for now, we're going to throw her into B+, I think, but she might move down to B. I'll have to consider it as we go on moving more characters in. But Bernadetta comes with curve shot, which is great. To start with, early game maddening, you really want be able to attack from a distance, so that's really useful. And then she has Encloser as well, which is a really good bow combat art that not very many people learn. So she'll be able to freeze enemies in place for a turn, which can be really useful in maddening. I hear the argument that wouldn't you rather just kill something than use Encloser? And while that's true, that's not always a possibility on maddening. Characters are enemies are bulky. Your characters are in a lot of danger because they can just get destroyed by most of your units can't take more than a couple enemies on enemy phase. So having Encloser is really nice. It's a good end game, mid to end game combat art that she gets. Other than that, there's not a whole lot special with her. If you want her to be good, I would say go throw her into like Sniper for Hunter's Volley, which is 2 attacks in a row, which is really good, and just go from there. I mean, you can make some case to go into like Priest and then Bishop for rescue use, or some other magic class, I guess, because she does learn rescue, but her magic isn't going to be good enough to really make great use of it. There's other characters that use rescue better, but overall, I think she is a fine unit. Yeah. Again, there's not a single character in Three Houses that's like bad. All right, Kaspar. So Kaspar, already mentioned, is one of the characters that's like hard to recruit unless you play his house, just because his requirements are a little rough to get, but also he can't get a B rank with Byleth, B rank support with Byleth, which can just like randomly recruit characters until part 2. So, which you can't recruit people in part 2 that way. So, makes him a little rough. Kaspar's big problem is that, and it's not even that big of a problem, honestly, it's totally workable. He doesn't have the greatest base stats in the game, where it's a difference of 1 or 2 or 3 points, generally in the beginning, but I don't know. In this game, you're separating hairs to try and find differences between characters, because everyone can do just about anything. Everyone's pretty useful. But I think on higher difficulties, Kaspar does fall behind, because he just doesn't quite have the utility that other characters with, like Bernadetta, who has not the best combat at first. She has Curve Shot, then later on she learns Encloser, and that's really nice. Whereas Kaspar, he doesn't have really anything quite like that as far as usefulness goes. I feel like your best bet for Kaspar is just to get him into Grappler, learn Fierce Iron Fist, or actually, like, at that point, but then obviously get Quick Riposte from War Master if you can, and then go back for Fierce Iron Fist for 3 attacks in a row. I think that's going to be your best bet with Kaspar. He's not, honestly, there's other characters that do exactly what he does. I don't want to, like, but more, generally. So I don't know. Kaspar's pretty one-dimensional. I don't think he is the best unit in the game. So we'll say B tier for him. Dorothea. Dorothea is going to be our first A tier unit. Physic is great, so great utility and decent magic damage. That is Dorothea for you. There also is she learns Meteor, or is it Bolting? I always get the two mixed up. She either learns Meteor or Bolting. I think it's Meteor. So either way, long range magic spells, and that really synergizes well with linked attacks. So if she has that equipped, she'll link attack with characters who are attacking from like 7 spaces away, which is crazy, honestly. So a lot of people like to make her a dancer, and just have her equip Meteor as the dancer. Well, there's Milo. A lot of people like to make her a dancer and just equip Meteor so she can have linked attacks all across the map, which is actually pretty good. But I think her big draw for me is Physic, which is, not everybody has Physic. So, all right, next, Ferdinand von Eyre. Again, like Kaspar, kind of harder to recruit for similar reasons, but he is pretty good. He learns Swift Strikes, which is an amazing lance skill that is, so similar to Hunter's Volley and other, like Point Blank Volley and other ones that allow you to attack twice in a row. And he's just a really solid combat unit for you throughout the entire game. I think A+ is pretty fair. On Maddening, Tempest Lance is really useful in the first couple maps. You're really going to rely on that to be able to deal substantial enough damage to KO enemies. So Ferdinand coming with Tempest Lance, that makes his early game pretty useful, and he never really falls off. He'll always be good. Again, Swift Strikes is really good. So you could throw him into like Paladin to have him with Swift Strikes have Lance Fair, but it's hard to argue against going into Wyvern Lord with anybody really. So things to consider with him. Overall, he's pretty good. He's just honestly really good. All right, Hubert. Again, we're not really going to take availability into account, so the fact that he's only available in one of the 4 routes is not going to hurt him. Hubert is one of your best magic damage dealers in the game. He's great. He's essentially Lysithea without warp. So he hits stupid hard, and has some 3 range magic spells. And you can give him the Thyrsus. He'll take damage because he doesn't have a crest, if I remember correctly. But you can still use it if you want him to. And he'll be able to attack from even farther away, which is great. Or you can just give him the Caduceus Staff, which is almost as good as the Thyrsus. Hubert's great. A lot of people sleep on Hubert and compare him to other people that they think are better. Hubert hits like a truck, and he also learns Recover, which is a slept-on healing spell. It just heals a lot. I like Hubert a lot, so I'm going to put him in A+. Yeah. Okay, Linhart. Linhart's interesting. Linhart has all the spells and tools to be amazing, but I never find him to be that great. We're going to put him one above Dorothea, but I think he is just an A unit. He does have Warp and Physic, which is like the sought-after combination that not very many units get, right? Physic and Warp together is stupid good. I think only one other unit has it as a DLC unit of all things. So the fact that he has both is a huge plus for him, but that's basically all he's going to be doing. Again, he is another one that you could just give Thyrsus to. You can give Thyrsus to any magic unit, and I suggest trading it around on the map so you can use it multiple times on turns when possible. But overall, his magic damage, he's not going to one-shot, but he's also not going to double, because not very many units double on Maddening until like endgame or mid-game. Like some of your faster units, if you train them like Leone or Petra or Ingrid, and they might even struggle to deal damage. That's very useful anyways. But Linhart just doesn't have the magic to one-shot like Hubert or like Cynthia, and I don't know, it's just his combat's not there, but his utility is great. So throw him into Bishop, just get extra uses of Warp and Physic, and I'd call that good. Okay, Petra. Petra is, on every other difficulty but Maddening, one of the best units in the game in my opinion. I'm gonna throw her into the top of A+, I think. She just isn't bulky, and it's hard to double. Again, it's hard to double on Maddening. There's gonna be a lot of enemies that she can't double. Like I think there's some that are like almost physically impossible to double, like some of the endgame sword masters and endgame like assassins and stuff. But she will be able to deal a decent chunk of damage to a lot of enemies. She won't be able to tank really on enemy phase either. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I dislike Petra on Maddening mode. Again, on hard and normal, she's stupendous. She's amazing. But I think on Maddening, she just takes a bit of a hit from me because she doesn't tank, and she doesn't hit quite hard enough in general. So I think I'm actually going to put her like here below Ferdinand for now. Okay, so that's the Black Eagle house. Now onto the Blue Lions. First we have Dmitry, who I'm going to throw up here. Again, similar reasons to Adelgard, just super buff. 20% extra experience at all times. Great personal classes if you want to stick with those, or you could throw him into other stuff that could be even better. He does learn the sought-after skill combination of Battalion Wrath and Battalion Vantage, which, if you've watched Rangor's 0% gross of Blue Lions run, was like the savior. That's like how he did it. That was the savior of the run. Dmitry's insane. Whether or not he's better than Adelgard, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it like this for now, and I might shift it around later. But, man, he's really good. Regardless, as long as you put him into a physical class, he's going to be a good contributor, and he'll be able to just deal out massive damage, but he'll also be able to tank relatively well, especially if you put him into classes that like aren't squishy, if that makes sense. I don't know. Throw him into Paladin, be good. And if you're feeling cheeky or crazy, throw him into Wyvern Lord or something. But honestly, you can just stay as a High Lord or Great Lord or whatever it's called and call it good. Annette. Annette, we're going to throw her in A tier. She rallies. She rallies with the best of them. She comes with rally strength, and she learns rally speed at like C+ authority, and that's awesome. Rally strength and rally speed. So that's +4 strength and speed, which +4 is enough to make a difference for some characters, whether it saves them from being doubled, it helps them double, or it just helps them one round KO. I think Annette, just for that reason, is really good. But on top of that, she has magic utility with healing and dealing some damage if you need her to. But more than anything, it's the rallies that make her super good. So we're going to put her into A. Dedue is available only in one path, being Blue Lions. And I know I said I wasn't going to take much away from characters who aren't available as much. But Dedue he misses some pivotal chapters in Part 2. He misses the first few chapters of Part 2, where it would be really nice to have a physical tank that Dedue desperately wants to be for the army, right? So that really hurts him. His early game, here's the thing, you would think his early game's really good. You would think, because when he used his the weight command, instead of using an item or attacking or anything, his personal skill gives him +4 defense. So that gives him 12 defense in the early game, which is the most you're going to find from any of your units, which allows him to do some tanking, some face tanking. It's great. But, again, that requires you to wait. And maddening is less about enemy phase, especially early game, and more about taking advantage of your player phase. So I think a lot of people put a lot of stock into his personal skill, when more than anything, it feels kind of like it's a give and take. It's less of a 100% benefit and more of a, like, you lose out on attacking with him that turn, that player phase, but you gain the ability to maybe tank one extra attack on enemy phase. So I don't think it's as good as people say. Dedue's good. Again, every unit in this game is fine. I think I'm going to put him in... If he didn't miss any chapters, I would probably put him in like top of B+. I think I'm going to do bottom and B+, just because he misses some chapters. Okay, Felix. Another character, kind of like Petra, who you think is going to be like one of your... I don't know, like on normal and hard, he's amazing. He just destroys everything, right? The Crest for Denarius is great if you want to make him like a War Master, get him quick riposte. And also use gauntlets, so he doesn't really even need quick riposte because he's really fast, generally. But just his crest proc rate's like 40%, so if you attack 4 times, 40%, chances are it's going to happen at least once, probably twice per combat. That just adds this extra damage that you just get for free because he has a crest. He has the major crest of Denarius. Felix is really good. I think he is better than Petra on maddening. Not sure if he is better than Ferdinand. I feel like they're pretty equal here. I think I'm going to put him above Ferdinand for now. And call that good. Yeah, let's do that. I like that. Okay. Ingrid is pretty... She's not that good on maddening. She doesn't deal enough damage to really be useful overall, and she doesn't have the greatest magic list and stuff. So if you want to like even go magic based with her, I don't think she is as good as any of the A+ characters. I don't think she's even as useful as the A characters. I'm gonna have to put her in the at the top of B+ here. Ingrid, if you recruit her later, people like to say, oh well, she gets the growth rates of maddening mode Pegasus Knights, which gives her a lot of extra strength and stuff and speed and whatnot. So she will have decent strength if you recruit her late, I guess. But if we're talking Blue Lions, she struggles. She comes with Tempest Lance, which I haven't been talking about combat arts as much as I should have, but she does come with Tempest Lance, which is a good early game maddening combat art. But I don't know what it is about Ingrid. Maybe it's just personal bias, but I feel like she just falls off in the end. It is never as good as you want her to be. She just doesn't deal... Her strength, base, and growth, and everything like that just doesn't get to a place where she can deal significant chip damage, or she definitely can't one-round KO in most instances. Maybe she can, like some mages or sages or whatever, but for the most part, sages. There's no sages in this game. You know what I meant. Warlocks, whatever. I think top of B+ is fair. Okay, Mercedes. Mercedes is one that I always struggle with because she is relatively good as far as a healer with Physic and Fortify, but she just... I don't know, there's nothing else really special about her. She can deal magic damage, but if she gets attacked, she's dead. If she gets attacked by a physical enemy, I should say, she's dead. So it's hard to place her on here. I think she's at least as useful as Annette and this group, just for healing purposes. So I'm going to put her here for now and just call it good. Again, just having Physic and Fortify makes her just a really great healer. That's her calling card, you know? Next we have Sylvain, and I think Sylvain, we're going to throw him in top of A+. I'm tempted to throw him into S. Sylvain, just solid combat unit. He is going to do everything you need him to. He's going to be able to deal good damage by mid to late game. Comes with Tempest Lance. Also comes with Smash if you want to use an axe. And have a little more accuracy, which is nice. I think overall, his best bet is to go Wyvern Rider to Wyvern Lord. It'll help him with his speed. He'll have good speed by the end, and he'll also have good strength. And be able just to fill the role of dealing a lot of damage. He also gets Swift Strikes. So like Ferdinand, get Swift Strikes. So you could argue for Paladin for Lance Fair, but I think just stick to Wyvern Lord for endgame as a unit. But again, Paladin for Lance Fair is not a bad idea to go with Swift Strikes. All right, next we have Ashe, who is good, but not great by any means. Like a lot of the characters in this game. I'm gonna just put him by Kaspar for now. He is a lockpick. That's like his one defining quality. Other than that, he's just a decent unit. Again, like, nobody's bad. I don't know, there's nothing that special about him. I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't like him that much. Okay, Golden Deer. Claude, boom, same thing. S tier, 20% experience, you've heard the whole thing. He also gets one of the coolest and maybe the best personal classes, being Barbarossa. Just super fun to use. So we're going to throw him here into S tier. Again, I'm not sure of the order of these three, but they're all just stupid good. All three lords are really good. All right, Hilda is next. So I think she's A tier. I'm not sure. I think she's A+ tier. I'm not sure where to put her. I think I like her just as much as like Felix, Ferdinand, and Sylvain. Solid combat unit throughout the game. Not much more to put into it than that. She just does a good job, good stats and everything. Can work in pretty much any physical class you put her into. Female early game flyer, that's great if you want. So A+ I think is fair for her. All right, Ignatz. I think he is at least as good as Bernadetta, maybe slightly better. I don't think he's better enough to be like a whole tier above her, so I think I'll just put her ahead. Early game curve shot, which is great, and then just rally speed early, and he gets rally strength down the line. So like Annette, he's one of the few that can do the rally speed, rally strength combo. He doesn't get the rally strength until like I think is it S rank or A rank in Authority. So it takes a while to get there, but it's very doable in a fresh playthrough. And much like Bernadetta or Ashe, or really anyone, if you throw him into Sniper and get Hunter's Volley, it helps his combat and makes him really good, like, right away. So he's fine. I do think he's slightly better than Bernadetta just for utility purposes because of rallies, but not like leagues above her. Okay. Leone falls into the same sort of trap that like Petra can fall into, where she may struggle to deal enough damage in the end game to really be that useful. But overall, she's super good. If you want to help her combat, you could throw her into Sniper to get Hunter's Volley, or you could go Pegasus Knight to Wyvern Rider to Wyvern Lord or Falcon Knight and have a really good flyer. Regardless, Leone is going to be pretty good if you keep her in a physical class. And again, if you want to fix her combat, if like her combat's lackluster, Hunter's Volley isn't a bad way to go. Also, you can give her stuff like Death Blow. I haven't talked about that much. Death Blow is great for most of these units that are physical, and you probably want to learn that regardless. And Darting Blow can help her double things if you're into that. But I think her and Petra are pretty similar. I'm just going to keep them next to each other for now. Okay, Lorenz. He's one that I always struggle to tier and rate, because I don't think he's that great. Again, I really struggle with this guy. I don't know what to do with him. He's at least as useful as Dedu. Probably at least as useful as these guys. We'll put him at the top of B+. I think Frozen Lance, if you raise him as a magic user, but also raise his Lance rank to a point where you can use like a Silver Lance plus and use Frozen Lance, that's a hefty chunk of damage you can do to like magic-based damage, which is almost always the lower defense when fighting enemies. So Lorenz, he can be good. He can be. He can even get to a point where he's one-shotting with stronger magic attacks like Anya's arrows and Ragnarok. But overall, I don't think he is as good as other magic users in the game, and then I definitely don't think he's as good as other physical units. Okay, Lysithea. So Lysithea is a big one that I used to think, and I used to always put Lysithea like S tier, like super good, one of the best units in the game, potentially the best unit in the game. I stand by it. I think Lysithea is S tier. I think Lysithea is super good, guys. I think Lysithea is super good. Has all of the one-shotting potential of Hubert. But also has Warp, which I think is more useful than people give it credit for. Even if you're not trying to play quickly, I think Warp is still just a really good skill, really good spell to have in your army. So I think S is honestly pretty fair for Lysithea. I understand her early game may be a bit squishy, but so is everyone else on Maddening. Pretty much everybody is squishy except for a few units if you train them in a specific way, you know? So I think S tier for Lysithea is totally warranted, totally fair, and if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear it in the comments. And I know and I know a few people who aren't a fan of Lysithea, so be good for me. I'd love to hear it. Okay. Marianne. I think she just goes in here in A tier with the healers that are, Physic. She also gets Silence, which, again, kind of like in Closer, you would think, oh, it's better just to kill him. But there's instances where Silence can be really nice. So I'm going to put her in A tier. I think she is at least... I'm going to put her here. I'm going to put her here, have a net at the bottom here. I think I like that. Marianne... Again, gets Physic. She'll deal decent magic damage. She does get a 3-range magic spell on Thoron, so she will be able to do Safe Chip relatively often. And then, of course, you can just give her trade around Thyrsus or the Caduceus Staff around to give her extra range. So I think Marianne's pretty good. Put her in A. Okay. Raphael. Again, there's no bad units in this game. I'm going to reiterate that. There's no bad units in this game. But Raphael isn't that great. He isn't... He gets early rally strength, which is good, I guess. But other than that, your hope is that he just kills things before they can attack him. Because his attack is so high. He will have stupid high HP if you train him. So there's that. HP is a slept-on defensive stat. Because, the higher HP is, the more damage you can take, and then you just heal it. I don't know. I think HP is slept on by some people. Regardless, I think Raphael just goes in B tier around here. I'm not really worried about him and his placement all that much. I don't think he's that great. Okay. Katherine. Katherine is pretty good. She's pretty good. I think we'll just put her in the top of A. I don't think she quite meets the expectations to be an A+. She requires no investment. She can deal great damage with she requires next to no investment to be good right away. She's just a solid unit overall. And I think A is fair for Katherine. There's not a whole lot special to say about her, in my opinion. I mean, really, you just stick her to Swordmaster and she'll be fine. If you want to do something crazy, like make her a Pegasus Knight or Falcon Knight or something, you can. But I don't see any reason to do that. Just keep her as a sword master. You could switch her to assassin too if you wanted to get the +1 move from it. But I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. But I think Katherine is about a. Actually, I'm gonna put her below all my like utility healers here. Okay. Cyril. C tier. C for Cyril. I don't think Cyril's very good. Point blank volley, whatever. It's great. He can do point blank volley stuff. He just joins too little, too late. Essentially, as soon as he joins, he's behind everybody. He's not very strong. He honestly won't deal enough damage to be super useful. I know people love to argue that, well, he gets point blank volley, and you're not wrong. He does get point blank volley, but he also is a crappy unit to start, and you have to favor him a lot. And by crappy, I mean just not as good as everyone else. Again, there's not a single bad unit in this game, but yeah, C tier. Someone's got to be there. Someone's got to be there. I'm gonna put Cyril in C. I'm sure I'll get crucified in the comments. Okay, Flame, utility healer. That's not quite as good as these guys in my humble opinion. So I'm gonna put her at the top of B+. She does have rescue. That's like her saving grace. But she learns Fortify, which is fine, but she doesn't get Physic. Physic is definitely better than Fortify. I'd rather have that. Bigger range, more uses, a little less niche. Fortify, it's pretty rare that that's going to be like overly useful, you know? So I think B+ is fair for Flame. She kind of has this like Cyril syndrome where she joins as she isn't like quite up to par with the rest of your units generally that you're using. So I think B+ is fair. All right, Hanneman, B tier. Bolting. You know it's bolting, right? Is that right? I think that's right. I don't know. Something like that. It's fine. He also comes with rally magic, so you can add range to warp or rescue if you're into that. If you're trying to beat maps quickly, that's nice. But overall, it's not that great. Same kind of goes for Mamuela, except she has warp, so I think that's better than what Hanneman has to offer. I think I'll put her here. Just definitely like a replacement unit if you lost your healer or something, you know. Not the greatest, but she also has warp, which is pretty nice. So I think B+ is fine. All right, Setteth, our third Swift Strikes guy. Setteth joins pretty good, you know, like he joins as a good unit. But he also just he's not going to be able to keep up if that makes sense. He falls off. He's like a traditional quote unquote Jagan archetypical character. He's good, but he's not that great. I'm going to throw him into I don't know. I'm going to put him by Katherine. I think they're similar in that they're both useful when they join, but they kind of fall off later on. He does get rally defense though. Rally defense is pretty good stuff. Okay, Shamir. Shamir, I think, is the best of the Knights of Syros that join. I think she's the best of the Knights of Syros because she starts as a sniper. She's on a quick path to Hunter's Volley, and Hunter's Volley is stupid good. So I think A is fair for Shamir. So we'll put her there for now. Yeah, I like that. Eloise. Similar to Hanneman. Can deal some damage, can maybe tank a hit or two, but he's not that great. Pretty much everyone else is going to be better than him if you train them overall. So, yeah. Anna, I think she's in Cyril tier as well. I don't think Anna... There's nothing that makes Anna special. Anna is not a great physical fighter, but she's also not a great magic user. She does learn rescue. That's like one of her things. But her rescue range isn't going to be big enough to really warrant it being a talking point in her favor. So I think C for Anna is... I don't know. Someone tell me I'm wrong. I'm happy to hear it, but that's just kind of how I feel on it at this point. Yuritsa, Crimson Flower, Part 2 exclusive. He is, again, not taking too much availability into account. Yuritsa is stupid good. He joins ready to just destroy the game for you. And by destroy the game for you, on maddening, I mean he's there to just like make the game easier for you at that point. Yuritsa, easy A+, considering moving him even higher, but because he's only in part 2, we'll say A+. He actually can learn Darting Blow, which is interesting. Like the only male unit that can learn it, aside from male Byleth on New Game Plus, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, Yuritsa, he's great. Yuritsa's great. Love Yuritsa. Really good unit. Don't sleep on him. Use him if you're playing Crimson Flower. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put the Byleth on here. And by Byleth, I mean Byleth, because we only have the female Byleth version in this tier list for some reason. Alright, Byleth, easy S tier. Solid unit. Gains 20% extra experience, again, like the other lords. And is just... It also gives 20% experience to plus experience to adjacent units, which is invaluable. And then will just be a solid unit throughout the entire game. Sword of the Creator, great. Enlighten 1 class is fine, and you can use the Faith Avoid, or White Magic Avoid, or whatever it's called, relatively well in that class as well. Equip a heal to be super dodgy, or equip Nosferatu to maybe potentially do some useful Nosferatu tanking. But yeah, so I think both male and female Byleth are S tier. Female Byleth slightly better because early flying, if you're into that, and then Sylvain is a free recruit for female Byleth. Okay, now we're at the moment we've all been waiting for. The DLC characters. I need a drink of water first because my throat hurts. Okay, we're just going to do these in alphabetical order. These units here. So, Balthus. Balthus is way better Raphael. And that's really good. He's Raphael with a somewhat okay speed stat and a good defense stat. So I'm gonna throw Balthus. I think he does belong up here with these like the solid combat units. You know what I mean? So I think A+ for Balthus is fair. Not really sure where he fits in here, but he's great. Don't even worry about going into War Monk for him. Just throw him into the classic, you know, Brawler, Grappler. Not Brawler. Skip Brawler. Brawler's dumb. Get Death Blow from Brigand, and then, you know, Grappler, get Quick Riposte from War Master, and he'll be great. Just do that. Balthus has opportunity to be really good. He also gets his, you know, the relic weapon that other people can use, I guess, but I don't know if I attribute that to him, but there it is. A+ Balthus. Constance. Constance is similar. She's similar to Lysithea in a lot of ways. Similar to Lysithea in a lot of ways, except she doesn't get warp, she gets rescue, which isn't as good. I think I'm going to put her by Hubert. She'll have great magic throughout the entire game, and she'll deal lots of damage. I'm not going to give her class, you know, her like what her personal class is supposed to be or whatever. Her Dark Flyer, like it isn't just for her. Any female can become a Dark Flyer. She's really good. Don't get me wrong. She's just not quite to the level of utility and usefulness that Lysithea is. All right, next we have Happy, who is definitely, in my opinion, S tier. She has warp and physic and a decent magic stat, so her warp range will be pretty good, and she will be able to heal from like anywhere. But on top of that, like Lysithea, she has good magic spells, and some are even, you know, she gets a 3-range spell, and just she'll be dealing lots of damage. And then you can give her the Caduceus or Thyrsus, and she will just have insane range. And then if you're crazy, you put her into Valkyrie or whatever it's called, and she gets another range, and she's hitting from like 7 spaces away, and it's stupid. Happy's really good, guys. I think Happy may be the best unit of the 4 DLC characters from Ashen Wolves. Really, really good. Don't sleep on Happy. Okay. Last one. We're finally there. Yuri. Yuri is an interesting case. If you play Ashen Wolves, you might think he is amazing. And he is pretty good. But I think Trickster is more the reason for that. Trickster is a really interesting class, especially since foul play is only usable by them. So I think Yuri is at least as good as these other A+ combat units with high speed, decent strength. Overall, I have a hard time knowing exactly where to put him. I think he's probably going to be... I think he's probably going to end up being slightly better than Leone and Petra overall through a playthrough. So, yeah. And you don't even need to throw him into Trickster. Just make him a Swordmaster or something, or you could go some other, like Assassin would be fine. You could eat Flyer's also fine, I guess, but I don't know. He's good. And also if you get him, you can get the Fetters of Dromai or whatever, the relic that gives you +1 move and also allows you to have Canto even if you're not a Canto unit. So you can give that to anyone, but I don't know if that's really a point in his favor because he's the one who gets it for you. Regardless, it works really well with foul play, the Fetters of Dromai do. So if you make him a Trickster, just give him that. He'll be able to like, foul play and then Canto back or Canto forward or something. Works really well with that. Something to consider. But overall, that is my personal take on the Three Houses cast. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's all opinion based. That's the great thing about a tier list. And if there's enough response, maybe we'll shake it up and do another community tier list type thing. So this is my opinion. Tell me in the comments what characters you would move, why you would move them. That's super important. Don't just say, you got this wrong, this character should be switched to this character. Tell me why they should move. Give me some reasons in-game. Bonus points if you give me numbers and stuff, which is cool. And of course, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.